Yeah, I'm back for episode number 6. Down the road! Yes, down the filthy dirt road. You see, I've been off for a month because of, personal problems, you see. So I didn't review WrestleMania, which I'm glad I didn't because it was the worst WrestleMania of all fucking time. Practically because of the main event. Because of some trapper came out thinking he was a rapper. And it's insulting to me when people call Travis Scott a rapper. He is not a rapper. That is insulting to all the 90s rap stars that have come before him. It's spitting on Eazy-E's grave, Big L's grave, Big Pun's grave, Notorious B.I.G.'s grave, DMX's grave, Mobb Deep's grave, Prodigy's grave, sorry, Havoc, and, Tupac Shakur grave. So, I don't know, I can't say all rappers are trappers. All trappers are rappers, but most of the trappers, that here these days cannot make songs for shit. The music is fucking diarrhea. The music is so cringe it makes me want to kill myself or murder or go to America and murder one of them. On hood. So sorry. So what happened was, this is only episode 6 and I've took a month off. I've had personal problems. I did a review straight after WrestleMania 41. I did a review, okay? And, I couldn't release it because I was saying some very, very crazy things. Not about wrestling because I had a bad weekend. It was nothing to do with actual WrestleMania. I went on a tangent about Travis Scott, and then I went on a tangent about how society is and how fucked up it is, and basically disrespected everyone, like personally in my personal life and outside. It would have been, I would have been cancelled. I probably got arrested because I was making some actual threats on the thing. So yeah, I'm glad that I did not release that. Certain videos on my channel in the past I've released where I've done stupid things, especially when I'm mad. And it's just like, if I get mad or I'm going through shit, I just don't know how to, do a talk, because I don't want to send bad energies out, because I was shouting and all that, I don't want to send out bad energies, not like that guy from Busted Open, Yes, it was a really fucking crappy WrestleMania. His name is Brad or whatever his fucking name is. Dave. Yeah. I think he's working. His face went very red. He's got a valid point about The Rock, and I'll get into The Rock and, how full of shit I think The Rock has become, since he has, basically sold out to the, diddler fiddlers in Hollywood. You never know. He could been at a diddler party before I know, because, everything that comes out of The Rock's mouth is pretty much nowadays just like whatever comes out of fucking Hulk Hogan's mouth. Bullshit. But, at least Hogan's pretty funny with it. And, you got other bullshit artists, especially, I'm going to cover it in this podcast, actually. A very good bullshit artist. Probably where Hulk Hogan learned all his bullshit from is none other than Billy Jack Haynes, boy. I watched an episode with Billy Jack Haynes and I've done some research on Billy Jack. So I've got a very interesting segment on the history of wrestling on Billy Jack Haynes. Yeah, big old bad Billy Jack. He's told some stories, and I know which ones are true. Not the drug dealing ones, but something a lot darker about that Billy Jack boy, I believe is true. So yeah, WrestleMania 41 was a big disappointment. Just everything, the build up was, I wasn't excited for WrestleMania, anyway. The build-up was absolutely crap. The only good thing that happened since WWE went to Netflix was where the actual night that John Cena turned heel. It only lasted for like 24 hours. And then the next week he didn't show up at Raw. Then he showed up, and then he didn't give you any explanation why he really turned heel, other than he was sick of the fans. I mean, yeah, he's got a point. The fans booed him and all that shit. But it would have been better if he did that in 2012 when he lost to The Rock at WrestleMania 28, That's when he was supposed to turn heel. So now the fans ain't really buying it. They're cheering John Cena, and they have been doing these past Raws and everything. I haven't been watching, the past any wrestling since WrestleMania, except from old school Mid-South 1984 stuff that I've been watching at the moment, which Jim Cornette's work on there is absolutely amazing. That's when wrestling was wrestling. Wrestlers, wrestler. When wrestling looked kind of real. Now it's just so fake, it makes me fucking cringe. It makes me cringe so much that my dick turns into a cocktail sausage for about a week afterwards. Because nothing can get me hard. Because I was that fucking depressed. It didn't matter if fucking Jennifer Lopez in the 90s was rubbed in baby oil by P. Diddy and then sent to me to do a lap dance fucking naked in front of me. I wouldn't have got hard. Seriously. My dick shrunk because of that fucking main event at WrestleMania. And because obviously I was going through shit that weekend. Yeah, you didn't really want to listen to what podcast I said, because I think I was on a bit of drugs as well. So I've been smoking. I smoked a lot of weed over the WrestleMania week and did a lot of mushrooms and other stuff like pills and shit. So I'm not a druggie. I've told you about my drug history and shit like that. Which will get me on to a person that died recently. One of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Definitely in my top 100. Did more crazy shit than fucking Mick Foley. Everyone thinks Mick Foley, which he sacrificed everything for wrestling, did Mick Foley, but there was one person that was actually a little bit more crazy than him, a little more out there than him, in a good way, not in a bad way, in a good way, and that was Sabu, which I will get to Sabu because I've read his book. I read it when it first came out, his book, because I've been a big fan of Sabu's since, the mid-2000s or something. I didn't watch ECW when it was actually in business. I started watching it, when the internet came along. And I was amazed, it's one of the best promotions ever. And too bad his last match was in a fake ECW, which is called GCW, which is a fakest fucking crap I've ever seen. It's fucking like an independent version of AEW. And yeah, AEW does look like an independent show. Come on, even though I haven't watched it in 2 years. I've heard something good things have come on though with AEW, like MJF and the Hurt Syndicate, so I might check it out, I've always been a big fan of MJF, so I think he is the best, he was the best wrestler in the world, and, just he needs to get back to what he's doing, obviously be a bit different, but get back to that sarcastic fucking prick who's always kayfabe, that keeps it kayfabe. Just like, Sabu's uncle was the king of the kayfabe. Sabu's uncle, the Ed Farrat, the Sheik, who I've listened to his book as well, never broke kayfabe. And it's wrestling business weren't dead when kayfabe was broken in 1984 when Vince McMahon started to take over the AWA and Georgia Championship Wrestling and bought Stampede Wrestling, then did WrestleMania in 1985, and big territories that had proper wrestling like Mid-South, Georgia Championship Wrestling, Sam Mushnick's St. Louis Wrestling, and the AWA, they all went out of business. and Vince McMahon basically exposed the business. But people could still suspend the disbelief because they had larger than life characters. And then obviously come the Attitude Era, everyone knew it was a work, you know, but it was turned into like a TV soap opera, you know, which was great. You know, the Attitude Era was good TV program. Everyone know it's fake, but people could suspend their disbelief, like when you watch, say, The Bill. You know, no American audience heard of The Bill. It's an old, you know, a big coppers down south, you know, from Cockney End. You know, series in the BBC that lasted a while. You know, loads of soap operas, you know. Like Keenan and Kel, I could, you know, suspend my disbelief. And there's so many others, like today, like The Last of Us and, you know, fucking Raising Kanan. You know, I could suspend my disbelief because the TV program's so good. And the Attitude Era had great TV, you know. Vince Russo, I don't agree with everything he did because I think the Attitude Era got better when Vince Russo left because you had half backstage segments, half craziness, and then half in-ring stuff. It seemed when Vince Russo was in charge, it kind of was just all backstage stuff and all storyline, no in-ring, which it's not good. Going extreme with anything isn't good. Like AEW, they just do in-ring matches and high spots. They don't focus on storylines or building characters. So, you know, you have to fucking, you know, even it out. I'm not saying have in-ring stuff all the time or just have storylines. This is where people get it fucking twisted. You know what I mean? You balance it out. So half the show you dedicate it to storylines and backstage segments and character development, and then the other half you focus on in-ring product. And that's what made 2000, in WWF 2000, the best year for me. Because you still had the best characters, the best storylines, you know, kind of, and backstage shit, but you had great wrestling because you had like Kurt Angle and Jericho and Benoit came in, you know, to add that technical wrestling to the show, you know. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I'm going to get on to WrestleMania. This WrestleMania, obviously, on a whole, was not the worst WrestleMania of all time, but it has to be because of the main event. I mean, I've watched wrestling quite a lot, okay, and I've never actually ever been angry. No matter how bad it's been, whether it was WCW in its dying days, you know, WWE in Vince McMahon's last days, you know how bad that was. It was absolutely fucking dire, you know. Vince McMahon's last days in WWE. The last fucking decade of Vince being in power was a complete clusterfuck, you know. And, you know, AEW as well, what they've been doing since 2022 has been fucking dire. But I've never got angry over it because it was still kept in wrestling. It was still wrestling. But this stuff I got angry with because it's kind of like whoever was responsible, which I'll get into, was deliberately trying to fuck over the fans, all from the ticket prices to the fucking advertisements to fucking bringing out Travis fucking Scott. I mean, how could that not be deliberate? They knew when they brought out Travis Scott at Elimination Chamber. Sorry, I'll keep my voice down. An Elimination Chamber. They knew bringing him out after what the reception was. No fucking cunt instead of the. No fucking cunt have ever heard of that motherfucker, right? Nobody. Except from some fucking stupid, fucking retarded millennials. Okay, sorry. But that's who are fans of him. Because his music is absolutely shite. It's disrespectful to rap music. I'm getting away from wrestling because really no one's touched on this. About Travis Scott, how he's a bitch-ass motherfucker and he's a snitch. Okay, because he's got paperwork on that motherfucker. I'm going to tell you right now, homeboy. That homeboy got paperwork on him. He ain't from the streets. He can't rap. I can rap better than Travis Scott. Okay? I fucking can. If Travis Scott, you want to battle, I'll battle you all motherfucking day. Yeah? You're an insult to rap music. And a lot of people out there, you trappers out there, have ruined something precious to me. I don't give a fuck about wrestling. Okay? That much. But I do about rap. And since the mid-noughties, rap music has been on the fucking decline. Right? And any rap fan from the 90s, should be checking these motherfuckers. Because I know if Pac was still alive, he'd be checking these motherfuckers. They wouldn't be doing the shit that they do, you know. They wouldn't be wearing the shit they wear. They've been dealt with. In the 90s, people got dealt with. You understand? They all met at the tunnel, whether it was the tunnel in New York or the fucking roller skating ring in LA or in the streets. It happened. Because you had to be authentic and you had to be talented. Travis Scott represents a generation of trappers that are fucking cringe, untalented, and it does offend me how much money they make. It's like these motherfucking bitches on OnlyFans, you know. So I'm going off on a tangent, but you should have heard my other fucking one. I was fucking threatening murder and shit. But anyway, I'm not going to do that, because if you like Travis Scott, you can like him, but don't bring him on a main event at WrestleMania. Because that is deliberately taking the piss. And obviously that's what went through my head. The Rock didn't come out, even though he inserted himself in the story with fucking Cody's soul. You know? What the hell are you talking about, Cody's soul? I mean, I'm going to get to that. But The Rock obviously didn't come out. He advertised, you know. He didn't advertise to be there. But he did, because there was t-shirts saying finally The Rock could come back to Las Vegas. So this goes beyond wrestling, you know. Everything from Triple H's fucking interviews that he did all week before WrestleMania to his Hall of Fame speech that was just took the fucking piss, man. I mean, come on. An hour and 30 minutes just to tell just fucking boring shit. I mean, half of the fucking wrestlers in the crowd were asleep. I fell asleep 20 minutes into it. I think I got to the bit where he started off his career and told the same old story that fucking wrestling fans have heard over a fucking million times about the fucking curtain call. I mean, how many times do you want to hear about it? The same thing with the fucking Montreal screw job. I mean, fucking hell, man. You know, it's just like it's just his ego. He just comes across like an egomaniac, man. Just his head is so far up his own fucking ass. He thinks that he's fucking Michael Jordan times 100. Like, you're not nothing special, Triple H. Sorry, you're not. You're a fucking wrestler that is not doing something that is not real. It's a work. I'm not going to call it fake. Actually, today's wrestling I will call fake, because it is fake. Back in the day, it was a work and it was predetermined. Now it's fake and it's being exposed. From all your stupid fucking press conferences, Triple H and The Rock, because I blame both of them for the way WrestleMania turned out. And I blame John Cena and Cody Rhodes as well. I don't know much about Nick Cannon, that fucking Ariel Manuel. Obviously, I don't think they give a shit about wrestling that much. You know, but Triple H came across like a fucking goof, you know. I mean, when Bret Hart and Austin came on stage, they made it short and sweet. You know, said what they were going to say, and that was it. And, Bret Hart rolling his eyes at Triple H, yeah. that was some good shit. I'll get to that, and Austin's fiasco and all. Well, no one said fiasco, just Austin being Austin, you know. I mean, Triple H is fucking up his own ass nearly as much as The Rock. You know, both of them are just egomaniacs. And, you know, they've exposed the whole business. They've told us everything that we need to do. They're even making a documentary about behind the scenes. You know, I don't want to know that shit, man. You know, I know it's not real, but you don't have to tell me how you do the magic. You don't have to tell me the inner workings of what you do, especially just after the event has happened. You know, you could tell me about it years down the line. Like, obviously, I like hearing behind the scenes stories, especially from back in the day, because they're actually fucking interesting. You know, that's okay because it's past the fucking event. So we can look back on it and they can tell us, you know, how they lived and all that shit. But to tell you straight after the event how it was done, this is what we did, this is how we planned it, it's just giving away fucking everything. What's the point of watching? It's so fucking predictable. And I'm telling you, man, when I watched the main event with John Cena and Cody Rhodes, I was watching it with my mate, and he's not a wrestling fan, but he predicted every single move. He said to me, "Oh, there's a kick out. Oh, there's a kick out. Oh, I bet you he kicks out of this. Oh, I bet you he's going to do the FU. Oh, I bet Cody's going to do his crossroads." It was so predictable, that match. It was so fucking predictable, man. It was horrible. The match was horrible. One of the worst matches I've ever seen. Cena looked, not decapitated, dismembered. His veins were sticking. It's like, all the steroids that he's took, now he's fucking stopped taking them. You can see the after effects, the side effects of his fucking green veins popping out of his fucking shoulder like a old cripply version of the fucking Hulk or something. As the Hulk just comes down from being this mad, rageful guy destroying a whole city, and now he's come back down. He's not angry anymore, but now he's flabby and defeated. That's how John Cena looks. Sorry. I look that way sometimes, so, that's how it is. But, yeah, the worst thing about the main event, obviously, was the ending. Travis Scott coming out, taking forever to get down the ring. And that, yeah. And throughout WrestleMania, that was a massive problem. And my mate picked that out as well. I was like, yeah. People spent more time getting to the ring than the actual fucking matches. It's a joke, man. Seriously. I mean, who you trying to please? The people in the fucking audience that you've already ripped off anyway. Who you trying to please? Because you should not be shooting a Netflix program if you're doing that. Because that just says you just want the house. If you're going to do that at house shows. That's okay. Because people are in the vibe. They've got the vibe, and you can get away with that shit when it's house shows. You can get away with doing all the yeets and Seth Rollins doing the hey and the Cody Rhodes. You can get away with that at house shows, but don't insult my fucking intelligence when I'm watching TV. When you're producing it for TV and millions of people watching TV, don't insult my fucking intelligence and waste my time. And that's what they did, at WrestleMania. I don't take anything wrestling does personally, and I don't now. I'm over it, but that was the worst thing ever to happen in wrestling, in my opinion. I know there's a lot of bad things that happen. People say Hulk Hogan inserting himself in the main event in Vegas, when Brett was supposed to win it. Yeah, but he was just fucking over the wrestlers. Nobody was in it. There was no internet back then. It was nothing compared to a fucking guy coming out like, if it was kind of like Flavor Flav, it wouldn't have been alright. It still sucked. Even if it was Tupac Shakur, it would fucking sucked. The Rock needed to come out, or Austin, or someone, needed to come out who was directly involved with the story. The Rock inserted himself into the main part of the story. So he doesn't come out. You get Travis Scott coming out, taking forever to get to the ring. He looks, 130 fucking pounds. When Prodigy was 18 years old, he looked fucking bigger than fucking, Travis Scott does. Just wearing these pathetic fucking little teared up jeans, man. Seriously, man, you wouldn't have made it past your first performance in the club back in the 90s without getting stomped out. People, I could go on about the rat world, how many snitches they are and shit, but I don't want to get into that. But what I'm going to say is, he didn't do fuck all. He took the crossroads better than I thought he would, because of when he fucked up slapping Cody and shit, which wasn't a big deal to me anyway. But, yeah, it was horrible. It was insulting. It insulted me. And I think the first thought that went through my head was, The Rock is doing this on purpose because the fans got the way last year. And this is not me. So The Rock, I don't know if The Rock's angry at the fans, I'm not the fan that he should be angry at, because I will no Cody crybaby. The WrestleMania 40 actually wanted Reigns versus The Rock. To be honest, I've never been a Cody Rhodes fan kind of thing. I don't dislike Cody Rhodes. I think he's a great worker. but he's not a top guy, man. He's not, to me. He's just not got that charisma. He doesn't appeal to me. You know, him coming out looking like a deranged superhero wearing a fucking suit. How does the average person identify with that? He's just like a fucking cartoon character or a bad superhero character who's deranged. You know, seriously, man. He's not a top guy. That is not a top guy. I mean, they're giving him the Roman Reigns, John Cena kind of treatment, you know. And then The Rock says, oh, we're going to turn him heel. So, you know, they've really done Cody in. But Cody, man, Cody is as much to blame, nearly as much to blame as Triple H and The Rock. Because why did he go with it? Cody could have told him he's making fucking millions. You know, he's off TV now. So why didn't you just tell him to go fuck themselves when they asked him to do the belt spot? What babyface ever has done that? Where he gets the belt and goes to hit someone who has basically, you've looked up to your whole life and basically stabbed you in the back, beat you into an inch of your own fucking life with your own dead dad's fucking watch, blooding you up in front of the whole fucking world, and then slandering you week after week on TV. And then when it's most needed, when you can win the match to retain your title at WrestleMania, you don't hit him with the fucking belt. You look like you just shit it like a fucking 5-year-old little kid who's getting bullied by another 5-year-old kid. But, you know, is too pussy to fucking slap him or punch him in the face. You know what I mean? It's just that stupid. Who would do that? It's not like he had a fucking axe. Like, I could understand if he had a fucking axe and he was about to murder him, but had a fucking come to Jesus meeting in his head. You know, an epiphany before it happened. You know, I can understand that. That's why, you know, they do that in movies and shit like that. But with a title belt, man, any babyface in any era would have been cheered if he just got the title belt and whacked it over his head and then even hit him some more times, even got the chair and beat him to a pulp, you know, and won. You know, Austin, the perfect example, Austin was not a heel at the end of WrestleMania 17 until the next night. People were still cheering Austin. And how did he win the match against The Rock? He beat him half to death with the chair with McMahon, but, you know, he weren't a heel until after Raw because people were still cheering him, I remember. You know, there's so many other instances of that in any era. You just do not do that. Who came up with that shit? I do not know. And who the hell? Why did Cody go along with it? I mean, Cody, he's got to blame himself. I mean, yeah, the office might bury you, but you're a top guy. You know, what did Austin do every time he didn't like a fucking piece of creative? And he did it recently, because you know what? I heard Logan Paul offered him $1 million to come out in a fucking prime can. Imagine that. Stone Cold Steve Austin, the toughest son of a bitch of all time. The same son of a bitch that whooped Booker T's ass all over the supermarket and cashed out on that jackass is gonna walk down a ramp at WrestleMania in a prime fucking bottle. And he got offered $1 million to do it. And Austin just didn't give him a middle finger, but said, you know, no thank you. Because it's not part of his character. So why didn't you do the same, Cody? Why didn't you tell him to fuck off? No, I should use the belt on Cena. Then The Rock should come out and screw me. But what I would have done was Cena turn heel at WrestleMania. That's what should have happened. And to be honest, what I would have done anyway was I would have had CM Punk turn heel instead of Cena at Elimination Chamber. Because that would have been a big shock. You know, no one saw Cena's coming. Cena was good, but they would have followed it up with CM Punk. Because CM Punk is a regular, and, you know, it's very out of character for CM Punk to become a heel, but it would have gone along with the Paul Heyman's favor storyline, which did not make any fucking sense, that storyline with, you know, Heyman owes Punk a favor. And then Punk faces Cody at WrestleMania and wins the title. Because people wanted Punk and Cody, really. That was the big match. I mean, 17-time champion, what the fuck does that matter? Ric Flair was a 25, 27-time champion. You've got to just look at old shit, You can suspend your disbelief and say, oh, Cena won it 17 times, but come on, wrestling fans ain't that stupid. You're going to know. So that belt spot and Travis Scott coming out, and then it just ending with absolutely nothing. The first thought that went through my head is The Rock's done this purposely because the fans, not the fans like me, but the Cody crybabies, as he calls them, which I've got nothing against, had their own way last year because you had to pivot, and last year's WrestleMania was a major success. I put that WrestleMania in my top 5 WrestleManias, because they did it. They did the same thing that they did this WrestleMania, but they pivoted and swerved, and they told a story each and every week to build it up, and then the payoff happened. There was no payoff this WrestleMania. Every WrestleMania, that's the time for the payoff. You can't just keep dragging us along. Yes, I believe in long-term storytelling, but the time to pay it off is at WrestleMania, or a big payoff. There was no big payoff. The fans were left pissed off, and it weren't like they were disappointed. It weren't like just a bad WrestleMania where you're just like, what the fuck? It just left a bad taste in my mouth. It was like, what are they doing? Are they deliberately trying to fuck with me? And the prices, man, that they're charging, 30 grand for a fucking, a ticket. And, they're doing that at SummerSlam, 40 grand. And all these advertisements and entrances to the ring, man, it's just fucking insult. It gets to the point where it's not about wrestling. You're actually fucking insulting me. You're actually making me It's like I came away watching that WrestleMania, how I came away when I watched, the news, something, when you watch a depressing thing on the news and you come away dead angry because it's hit a nerve in a certain way. It was that, and it was nothing to do with wrestling. It's the way that they just treated the fans, and if it weren't for the fans, you motherfuckers wouldn't have any money. And Triple H saying, oh, Killer Kowalski taught me, if I work, the fans don't work us, I work the fans. No, you got it twisted, Triple H, because the fans are working you. Every time there's a WWE event, the fucking fans are hijacking the show. Probably because you're ripping them off and you're insulting their fucking intelligence. So there's, who the fuck did he cheer for? They don't, no character to give a fuck about. Hardly. Because you just, you book it, since WWE's been on Netflix since January, I think it's been its worst period ever. Even worse than the period in the early 90s to, Vince McMahon's final years. Seriously. It's been insulting. It's not about wrestling. It's about some fucking propaganda, man. Some kind of capitalistic, communist propaganda to me. I mean, all they give a fuck about is money. They don't care. They don't care about the fans anymore. And Vince McMahon was never like that. Yeah, he did things his way, but he always shown up. Vince always shown up. He was the hardest working man wrestling ever had. Ric Flair was the hardest working wrestler of all time. Yeah, he might be a prick outside the ring, but, I don't give a fuck about that. I just want a good show, So, yeah. Anyway. We'll get into The Rock and Triple H anyway. I mean, there's a lot of conspiracy theories going on. I don't know what to believe because I weren't there. But there's 2 theories that I'm kind of, are going for. I'm not saying that they're true. I'll go into why The Rock said and other people said it happened. But there's a lot of holes in The Rock's story. Like, the first theory is what I just said. That The Rock was pissed off because he felt like the fans got one over on him last year, and The Rock's fucking fragile, fucking larger than life persona, he thinks of himself as being God kind of thing. You know, he does every interview that I see him in, he thinks he's better than everyone else. It's just a fact. He's up his own ass so much. I've never seen anything like that. You know, how he's up his own ass, as someone's up his own ass as much as The Rock. You know, how much he just fucking wants to fuck himself up the ass. And he's probably doing that right now. Probably looking in the mirror, rubbing baby all over himself, because Diddy taught him to do it, and fucking jacking off, sticking his dick up his own ass. He probably learned to do that. He's so fucking full of himself. But yeah, you know, I love The Rock, the people's champ. I was a massive fan of The Rock. You know, he was my second favourite behind Stone Cold. But The Rock is just turned into this creepy motherfucker. This corporate, creepy fucking... It's just unexplainable. And, yeah. I think he deliberately wanted to fuck over the fans by because of what happened at WrestleMania. So he comes back at Bad Blood when he doesn't need to, teases the fans for fucking months and months, thinking something big is gonna happen. He gave us one little thing, and that was John Cena turning heel, which weren't the original plan. The original plan was for Cody to turn heel. But Cody did not want to do it, Triple H said. So The Rock, according to The Rock and Triple H, whether you believe anything that comes out of them fucking mouths anymore, they asked John Cena during the Royal Rumble time, I think it was around Bad Blood time, they asked Cody to turn heel around Royal Rumble time, but Cody refused. Or Triple H refused, whoever, okay? So basically, they asked Cena to do it. And rumours were they were going to go with Punk, but The Rock and Triple H shut that down for some odd reason. You know, we know that The Rock and Punk don't see eye to eye in real life. Triple H says that they're cool now, I don't know. Anyway, so Cena agreed to do it. So The Rock gives us one little thing, and that was at Elimination Chamber. Everything else was bullshit. His whole fucking garbage fucking crap that he came out with on Netflix to promote this capitalistic bullshit that we're watching now, and this whole shit about Cody's soul, which I don't know what the fuck he's going on about. What do you mean he wants your soul? That's like, you know what fucking your soul? How do you know what, you know? Don't be all, you know, I'm not going down the spiritual path, but you don't tell me what you mean by the soul, and you never told us. We had weeks and weeks to do that, and you never said nothing about why. So you do that great thing at Elimination Chamber, everyone's up your ass, clapping, you know, sucking your dick at the press conference, and then after, you don't even fucking show up on TV. And you fucking sell these shirts, which people have bought, and come on, man, people bought these fucking tickets, and people watched WrestleMania because they wanted The Rock, to see what The Rock was going to do, how this story was going to pan out. So people waited weeks and weeks without no explanation from Cena. The Rock just fucked off. Cena gave us no concrete explanation. And then come WrestleMania, we're like, okay, we'll be patient. We'll wait till WrestleMania, and then we got nothing. The Rock didn't show up. He made not one fucking video whatsoever. You know, and the year before, what did The Rock do? He made Instagram videos. It's not hard. It would have took 10 minutes out of his fucking life just to explain to the people why he couldn't show up. Oh, I'm making this movie with Martin Scorsese, and if I participate in any grueling physical activity in the middle of the ring, then, you know, they might, you know, like they did with G.I. Joe after he faced Cena, it will affect the movie. Why didn't he just say that? You know, and on an Instagram video. I don't know when people are saying that he's already shooting the movie. It's wrong. He's not. He's not even started on the movie. yet. We're in May and he's not even started filming, I've heard. So that was bullshit when The Rock did the interview about the shit. And you know, even if that was true, he could have made videos saying, I'm not going to be at WrestleMania. This is coming from Dwayne Johnson, the TKO head of board. Just so to let you know, I cannot be at WrestleMania without making it obvious. Because then people obviously will think, oh, he's saying he's not going to be at WrestleMania, so he will be. But The Rock knows how to work. The Rock ain't fucking stupid. He knows how the fans work. He's been there, done that. He knows wrestling in and out, okay? Does The Rock and Triple H. So they're not stupid. That's why I think they did it deliberately. So nothing, and then he comes out with his bullshit fucking interview with Pat McAfee, who's just sucking his dick as well. No disrespect to Pat McAfee. He's doing it, you know, trying to keep his job. I get it. But, you know, The Rock just saying, oh, he got called before Elimination Chamber because the tickets, they were low on ticket sales. That's bullshit. They basically nearly sold out the whole building, just like every other pay-per-view. So that's bullshit because they nearly sold it out. They were, you know, and the building weren't sold out anyway. I've heard when Elimination Chamber was on. The Rock didn't do anything to add tickets to it, so I think he's chatting shit about that. You know, take him at his word. Yeah, okay then. So you insert yourself in a storyline, and then you think it's going to be all right, and just fuck off and just confuse. You're just leaving people confused. You're not making people think where the story's going to go. You're making people just like, what the fuck is going on? I'm fucking confused. This shit is making no sense. I mean, the fucking worst Steven Seagal movie makes more fucking sense than what I've been seeing on WWE television. Seriously. I mean, that guy Space Ice needs to fucking do a review on the recent fucking episodes of wrestling. Because I'm telling you, that would be his best work, because Seagal looks like a fucking genius with his recent movies compared to what WWE's been doing. So Rock, you're the, you know, and he's a bit, you know, failure in Hollywood these past, you know, couple of years with the Black Adam shit, which I don't give a fuck. Everyone fails from now and again. Why can't you just admit it, Rock, that you fucked up? I mean, it's all you had to do is say, okay, instead of, oh, I would have done things differently. And yeah, that's what goes on to the second theory, is that there's internal problems within the organization between Triple H and The Rock. I see where people are coming from with that, because at the Hall of Fame speech, Triple H did not mention The Rock's name, and he thanked everyone, even the fucking cameraman and his fucking guy who's carrying his jockstrap. He thanked, but didn't thank The Rock, who was basically Triple H's biggest rival, to be honest. I mean, all the rivalries Triple H has had, the one that he had with The Rock and Mick Foley was his most, you know, his best rival, and Triple H knows that. You know, because Triple H's best years were in the Attitude Era. And that's when Triple H was, you know, and he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, Triple H, because in the Attitude Era, he was the biggest heel, apart from Vince. And he was great. He's great in ring. He knows the business. You know, I don't give a fuck about all the other politic and shit about them screwing over wrestlers. That's to do with them. But right now, they're screwing over the fucking fans. And, you know, that's different when you're scamming people. Because this fucking WrestleMania felt like a big fucking scam. To be honest, like, you've taught people into the building, done false advertising, and it's a scam on a major level. I mean, I know it used to happen all the time back in the territory days and shit like that, but not on a major level like today. You know, and he's done it with fucking in other places as well, with that Crisis in Hawaii, with that stupid fucking bitch Oprah that I wish would fucking roll over and fucking die so I could piss in her fucking grave. She's so full of shit, that woman. Anyway. Sorry, I thought someone was coming to my door then. Anyway, so yeah, he did that big scam, which, I don't know whether it's true or not. It probably is if it's involving Oprah. He's just full of shit, man. It makes me kind of sick. He's like, he might be on the level of P. Diddy, The Rock. And I used to be a big fan of his. That's what made me really angry about it. Over the years, though, I've just raised my eyebrow like he does at The Rock's. Just this whole fucking, just he's so full of himself, man, and as well as Triple H. But yeah, there's in a turmoil going on between Triple H and The Rock. Lots of people said about it because Triple H and Shawn Michaels held The Rock back in the past, and there's been rumors that going as far as Vince McMahon is trying to get back into the picture by working directly with The Rock and Nick Khan and Ariel Manuel to secretly kick out Triple H and Stephanie and take over the company and kick out Shawn Michaels as well. I don't know about that. Could be true. You never know. You never know with Vince McMahon. Maybe that's a good thing. Even though as bad as demented as Vince has got, Triple H clearly doesn't know what the fuck he's doing or does know what he's doing and been set up for failure. Why would you carry a grudge for that long, though? I don't know what happened in the past. Yeah, Vince Russo said that the Triple H and Shawn Michaels held The Rock back when he first came in. But he worked with Triple H, man. If he hated him so much, they wouldn't have worked as well together in 2099 as they did. And there's so many pictures of them together that theory kind of, I don't know. I'm not saying it's not true that there's inner turmoil and The Rock might be planning to take over the company. We all know that The Rock's second in command. The Rock is on has the same power as Nick Khan, just below Ariel Emanuel, who owns the whole TKO. But, Vince McMahon still owns 1/3 of the share of TKO. That's why these theories are going on about Vince being secretly in it with The Rock. But no, I don't think that's true because there's been stories that Vince McMahon is actually really pissed off and actually livid. People that have seen him are actually saying that Vince McMahon is very pissed off and depressed over what's been happening in his company that he built. Because it is Vince's company, If you've mentioned WWE, WWF, it's Vince McMahon's company. It's that family's company. It goes back years, generations, and so on. So there you go. But I don't think so. No, I think Vince is probably just sitting there thinking, "What the hell is happening to my company?" Someone that owns the company, The Rock kind of owns it, and he weren't even fucking there. Like Vince McMahon was always there, even though there've been some bad WrestleManias that Vince McMahon has been directly responsible for. He was still there. He was even there when Brock Lesnar got pissed the fuck off so much he threw the fucking belt in his face. Because that main event was quite a bad main event, but nowhere near bad as on the level of the fucking Cena Cody. No way. And Triple H not mentioning The Rock. That guy, that Dave guy going on, fucking going crazy. Red face. Just it was funny watching that interview because Tommy Dreamer then started going on saying, "Well, back in the day when I used to watch WWF, I fucking smashed my telly when you watch territory wrestling, you'd smash his TV if like Nick Botwinkle lost or fucking Junkyard Dog lost or something like that." I'm like, yeah, we all do fucked up things like that as a kid. I used to smash my TV and controllers quite a lot when I couldn't get past a level in the certain game. But as an adult, no. If things like that get you angry and pissed off, anything in life, you're going to have a hard, miserable life, aren't you? Because anything is going to get to you. And I made the video the audio that I made after WrestleMania, straight after. It wasn't really because WrestleMania was bad. It was because I was pissed off mainly because I went through a tough week, to be honest. But yeah, I don't get that, to be honest. It's I'm a very bizarre person myself, but I do find these internet wrestling fans to be very bizarre. I mean, but then The Rock basically says, chill out, Dave or Brian. It's a work, always has been. Thank you for telling everyone that it's a work. We all knew that anyway, but you just saying that is just no one would do that. Not it's just letting you in on all the fucking magic, which is no magic anymore. That's why it's fake now, because it's been exposed too much. That no one is actually interested in what goes on at the wrestling event. About 90% of the fans are more interested in what goes on behind the scenes. So they're doing something very, very wrong. It's a double-edged sword, I admit, because if The Rock purposely screwed over the wrestling fans, it's because, the wrestling fans would be, being complete fucking marks, saying fucking Cody crybabies, like questioning the main event. Come on, man. Cody weren't a top star. He never has been and never fucking will, to be honest. And he's been buried because now everyone knows when he comes back, he's probably going to become a heel unless they do a pivot. Because what else is he going to do? Why is he not been seen since WrestleMania? It's because he's been fucking buried, man. That whole fucking belt spot, the way he lost the title, the way the build up, how he was getting booed during the match with Cena and the SmackDown before WrestleMania. It's just like the same shit happened when he was in AEW towards the end of his AEW run. I mean, people can see through his bullshit like they could with Cena and Reigns. The only thing that was different with Cena is he embraced it, the half and half. Let's go Cena. Cena sucks. It never really happened like that before it did with Cena. So Cena could get away with it. Roman couldn't. That's why people shitted on Roman for as long as they could. And that's when he had to become the tribal chief, which I'm so glad happened because it saved his career and has put him in, put him on a level of like a Hulk Hogan, Rock and Austin kind of thing. But Cody is not there. I'm sorry, he's not. Just because he's got a fucking Rhodes name of Dusty, does not mean that he's there. I even think that Goldust is better than Cody Rhodes. I think his character was better. It was unique. It was bizarre. Like, what the fuck is this? Cody is just, I don't know. He's pretty cringe, to be honest. I just gotta admit he is. And The Rock, basically, last year before WrestleMania 40, destroyed him. And Cena was destroying him. So I don't know what the fuck they're going to do with Cody. The Rock basically buried the fuck out of him, saying he's going to turn heel. So we know what's going to happen now, thanks. And we knew it was going to happen at WrestleMania. It was so predictable. Everything about that main event was so fucking predictable. To the most basic thing of every single move was predictable, like I said. That was the worst main event of all time. But yeah, whether there's problems with Triple H and The Rock, just because Triple H has not mentioned The Rock's name, The Rock said on a message to Dave, come and join me, Cena, Cody, and Nick Khan in the room and share your creative ideas. The only good thing he said in that fucking reply was, it's stop whining. It's not healthy. That's the only fucking logical thing he said, because it's not healthy, to whine about shit like that. If you're gonna whine about shit like that, it's nothing to fucking do with you. That's some fucking bullshit business. I mean, how many corporate businesses do shady shit on a daily basis? You'd drive yourself fucking crazy, wouldn't you? If you just took all that shit personally. And you got your own fucking life to live. Life's hard enough as it fucking is, man. You know? So, if you get angry over that, then yeah, you're gonna get angry over just the slightest fucking thing. Anyway, so I don't know whether it's something to do with The Rock and Triple H. People are saying that The Rock's setting Triple H up for failure, and it's only going to be a matter of time before Triple H is out. And I don't know where the Bruce Pritchard is, because he's not been heard from. I know that Road Dogg runs SmackDown, and Michael Hayes is still backstage and all that. But what I've heard is there's too many creative fucking writers on the team, and that's why we're getting bad fucking shows like we're getting. Because back in the day, it was one writer, one talent scout, one producer, and then one man that made all the decisions. For not just for WWF, but for every territory. But as soon as you started making it complicated, putting all these writers in and listening to all the fans on the internet and fucking, there's so many ideas, coming from the stars. Yeah, I get it. People probably couldn't book, even though they'd have, people got these great ideas, and I have some great ideas of where the story should go. I mean, yeah, it's easy to say that when you sat down that, yeah, this would work, but when you're dealing with fucking 30 or so writers and fucking the egos of talent wanting to do their own thing, it can be very hard and challenging, yeah. But what do? You fucking change the system up. You get rid of, all the extra shit that you don't need. It's like having a house that's cluttered. If you got too much shit, you fucking throw it out. You make space so you can be creative. Because you cannot be creative if people are coming up with 30 fucking ideas all at once, and then you got the talent that you're supposed to be producing coming up to you, giving their own ideas, and you're friends with the fucking talent, The thing is with Vince, he weren't friends with the talent. He told them what to do. His word was his bond. Whatever he said goes. It seems like Triple H is like going to more of a Tony Khan kind of thing, getting all pally with the talent, and that's not going to make the show good. It might be a lot better for the wrestlers, yeah. Obviously, if you're a wrestler today, it's a lot better than lifestyle, a lot safer. The lifestyle is like fucking being at holiday camp kind of thing, compared to the 80s where they were traveling like, Jim Cornette in 1984 was traveling fucking 10 cities a week. Non-stop, like 4-hour, 5-hour drives. Ric Flair was traveling the whole world. And all the wrestlers back then were doing it. Even into the Attitude Era. Now they've got their own private fucking buses. They've got their own cushy performance center. They have fucking scouts. They have medical staff. They've got lawyers. All this shit that none of these wrestlers had back in the day. But that's the thing. How are you going to work hard? How are you going to get the best out of someone if you're mollycoddling them like they're some little spoiled little child? It's in a business. It's a rough and tough business. Where the people are supposed to look like they're intimidating. Like, you would not fuck with this guy. Like someone like a Harley Race. Someone like a Billy Jack Haynes. Someone like a Sabu or the New Jack, Someone who you see on the street and say, fuck that guy. I won't want to mess with that motherfucker. There isn't people like that. There's a few, which I'll get to. Anyway, I'm going to get to the review and the logistics of WrestleMania. And that's the bottom line, because I said so.